Hey y'all, it's Harmony Kawaii and I'm back with another video. I thought of this video idea when I was washing my hands one day and I thought, whose idea was this? In today's world, washing your hands is common sense. At least I hope it is. If you aren't washing your hands, frankly, I'm afraid of you. You're a menace to society. But for centuries, we did not wash our hands. We never even heard of the concept. Who let us be musty for so long? It actually wasn't until the mid-19th century. I'll say that again. The mid-19th century until hand washing became common knowledge and the norm. And this is because hand washing didn't have a smooth start. So many people were opposed to the idea that there were tiny, deathly, microscopic creatures roaming around on our bodies and everything around us. It seemed preposterous even. I mean, everybody knows that if you can't see it, you can't hear it, and you can't feel it, it must not be real. It must not exist. I'm not telling you all of this for no reason, okay? There is actually a very interesting and messed up story behind the start of hand washing. So this story starts like most people's stories. Birth. Back in the day, giving birth and having a doctor assist you was very dangerous. Most of the time, people would try and opt for a midwife instead of a doctor because their survival rates were higher. And I'm talking about mid-1800s when I say this story, by the way, because I forgot to mention that earlier, but this is all around mid-1800s. And around this time, when you gave birth at a doctor's office, you had a staggering 1 in 10 chance of death. So luck had to be on your side. That's a very, very, very high mortality rate. People were so scared, in fact, of giving birth with a doctor that they would try to give birth on the street. Like, literally, if an ambulance came, they would say, no, don't even try me, okay? I'm trying to live. So in order to try to lower these mortality rates, a Hungarian doctor named Ignaz Semmelweis started conducting experiments in order to try to find the primary reason for these. So in order to conduct these experiments, Semmelweis used his practice, the doctor's office that he worked at, and another practice that had midwives working there, since midwives had much lower mortality rates. They had a 2% mortality rate as opposed to the 12% mortality rate of the doctor's office. So he looked at differences between the two offices that would possibly be the reason. So midwives usually turned women on their sides when giving birth, so he tried to have the doctors do this, turn the women on their sides, but that did not work. It had no difference. He also noticed that there was a difference in temperature, so he tried to change the temperature to a more comfortable level, but that also did not make a difference. And he even tried changing the layout of the building, where you place the beds. He tried multiple different things and nothing was working. Like, literally, what is going on? Everything else is the same from what he can see. He's like,
excuse me, what's going on?
He became so hyperfixated on this that he almost lost his job because they did not hire him to do these little lollygag shenanigans. Okay, they hired him to help give birth. Like, they were like, just literally do your job. Like, what's your problem? Like, we gave you a job, do it. We didn't hire you to play Sherlock Holmes. We just didn't. We didn't hire you to be innovative and try to learn more. We didn't hire you to try and seek out the greater good. We hired you to just mindlessly do your job and listen to us. Like, I don't like when people stray from the book. Follow the book. Listen to the book. So Semmelweis felt defeated. He was like, what else is there? Like, maybe I'm just a dumb stupid pants. Until one day. One sad day. A tragedy occurred. His colleague, Jacob Kolechka, I'm so sorry. His name was Jacob. Jacob had passed away from a severe illness. See, Jacob was a doctor, and he was performing an autopsy when he accidentally cut his hand. Instead of, you know, putting on gloves, maybe, Jacob continued. He continued the autopsy with his cut hand, his open wound, with no gloves. He was digging around in them guts, you know, meat to meat. And this corpse was one of those who passed away after giving birth. This led to a severe infection in his hand, right? And quickly after this infection occurred in his hand, it spread like wildfire, and he started exhibiting all of the same symptoms as all of the other people who were giving birth, like all of the ones who died. He started exhibiting those same symptoms. These symptoms were that of an illness called perpetual fever. This gave Semmelweis the groundbreaking realization that the high mortality rates must have something to do with doctors performing autopsies and then with the same raw dog, unwashed hands going and assisting with births. That was the difference between midwives and doctors. They weren't like up in corpses' guts, you know, 5 minutes before assisting with birth. So he was like, I think I found the problem. So something in the dead bodies must be deadly. The problem was what? What was so high risk in these dead bodies? That brings us to the year 1847, when Semmelweis realized there must be some sort of deathly particles that get transferred over through touch. And these deathly particles are what we otherwise know of today as germs. Newsflash, germs exist. So to get rid of these germs, Semmelweis made a chlorinated lime solution that he made the doctors rinse their hands off with, and so he would have them scrub under their fingernails and just keep scrubbing until the stanky, gross, corpsey, autopsy smell was gone, because it stank, it stunk, it stunk. So he was like,
rinse your hands off with this, and you won't have to deal with the smell anymore. Problem solved.
After this practice was implemented, the mortality rates instantly plummeted. Okay, instantly. Who would have guessed?
Wow.
The mortality rates dropped from 12% to 2.4%. And this was only within 1 year, okay? Like, 1 year. He had found a solution that was going to save millions of lives. Like, not the cat hair. It was a big deal. He was so hyped. He was so excited. He was jumping up and down. He was flipping around. He was literally so excited, like,
I'm gonna be remembered. I'm gonna be in history books. Like, people are going to shout my name. Like,
he was looking in the mirror. He was doing his affirmations. He was really, like, on top of the world when he made this realization. He was honestly like that bitch.
You guys, I'm here with
Ignaz Semmelweis.
What do you have to say to the haters?
Can't bring me down. I'm on a high right now. I'm living my best life, and y'all can't take that from me.
Clearly, he was going to have a bountiful career with high accolades, and he was going to be highly regarded. Clearly, he was going to have a great life, and he was going to win a Nobel Peace Prize. No, if you thought that, you were wrong. It's not how the story goes. If it went like that, I wouldn't tell it. Why would I be sitting here and telling a fun, happy-go-lucky story that's boring? Oh, and then everyone lived happily ever after and nobody ever died again.
psych!
That's not the world we live in. That's not the world I know. That's not the sad, gray world around me. Like most who go against the norm, he was ridiculed. He was publicly ridiculed. Older doctors were mad. They were mad. They were like, no, are you dumb? You're a liar and I hate you. I am not the reason that people are dying. I am not the reason for the high mortality rates. Tiny little microscopic particles. Liar, dumb, stupid. That was their energy. They were mad. They were mad. They were threatened. So not only was Ignaz ridiculed publicly, he was also fired. They said, say psych right now or you're fired. And he said, I plead the fifth. And they said, you're fired. you're fired and you're done. After he was fired, he found it really difficult to find another job in Vienna. So this was all in Vienna, right? I don't know if I said this before. I think I didn't, but this was all in Vienna. Everyone hated him. They were like, that crazy guy, Semmelweis? Ew. Like, he's crazy. He believes in little things that kill people. He's literally crazy. Like, stay away from him. He's crazy. He did eventually find a job, okay? He did, but it wasn't to be a doctor. It was for a teaching position. And he also was, like, not even allowed to use cadavers to, like, teach like every other doctor. He had to use a mannequin, so it was also kind of embarrassing because they were like, you're a little cuckoo crazy, we're not going to give you cadavers because you're not going to do your little weird experiments with your little weirdo hands. We're going to give you a mannequin because you're a little weirdo. So he packed up and he moved down to Budapest, Hungary. And this was like the best decision he ever made, to be honest, besides, you know, his whole groundbreaking discovery. But for himself and his mental health and his well-being, this was the best decision to make at this point because he actually was quite successful in Hungary. He got married, he had 5 children, he was able to establish his own private practice, and after a lot of research and supporting evidence, he got a lot of doctors in Hungary to use his practices of hand washing. He was doing really good, and he was more highly revered, and he was happy. He was happy. After working for a while and having an abundant amount of evidence that washing your hands greatly reduced the rates of spreading childbed fever, he published a book that was called Etiology, the Concept, and the Prevention of Perpetual Fever in 1860. He was so excited about this book. This was his lifelong work, and he was really passionate about it. He knew it worked. He knew it helps. He knew the damage that was being done by not practicing this simple procedure of washing your dang hands. But, again, doctors were mad. The book was met with skepticism and it was ignored by doctors, and there was multiple criticisms about the book that weren't just his findings but that claimed it was unprofessionally written and that the studies were done like without any dignity. And a lot of the doctors that were mad were from Vienna, okay, like the ones that were outspoken about it. Vienna was his biggest hater for real. Like, they did not want him to succeed. They did not want him to win. He may tell a joke, but he'll never tell a lie. Okay? Was he wrong? He was canceled. He was canceled. People say that cancel culture is a new thing. It's always been around, okay? It's human nature. Like, stop. Read up on some history and then tell me how new cancel culture is. It's not new. Cancel culture is as old as culture. Ever since we got together and decided, let's be a community, cancel culture has been around. Why do you think we care so much about what people think? Because back in the day, if you stepped out of line, you were kicked out of the herd. And humans are weak, little, fragile beings, okay? We can't exist out without a group, without a pack, because there's lions, tigers, bears, oh my, okay? And they'll win. And so we really only win if you're with a group. And if you get canceled from that group, you're done for. And that's just that. That's the truth tea. So, in rebuttal to these people canceling him, he started writing letters. He got on his soapbox. He was not going to go out without a fight. He was mad. It was literally like Drake versus Kendrick, okay? It was beef. It was public beef. And they were going back and forth. But his letters, I guess, I mean, I didn't even read any of them. But his letters were I guess they were sassy. And he actually started to be known for having outbursts, like public outbursts. And as he got older, he had a bad reputation for popping off. But honestly, I feel like we've all been there. Like, how mad would you be if you knew that something was killing thousands of people a year and everybody was just like, no, you're lying, you're a fake, you're a fraud, you're a phony, you're a flim. How upsetting would that be? Like, that's really, really, really upsetting and annoying, and I would be pissed. It would make you feel gaslit, right? Like, I would feel gaslit. Like, everyone was gaslighting him like, you're wrong, even though he knew he wasn't. He was like, this is all literally true, and they were like, no, it's not. No, it's not. It's like, yes, it is. He started acting out so much that people thought he was losing his mind, and he probably was kind of losing his mind. It is theorized maybe he had late-stage syphilis, because a lot of doctors at that time often would get syphilis, and late-stage syphilis would commonly cause people who had it to have anger issues and to kind of fly off the handle. He also suffered from paranoia and depression, and yeah, he was just not mentally okay. He was dealing with a lot of mental illness. Because of his irrational behavior, one of his old colleagues invited him to come back down to Vienna in order to hang out. He was worried about him, and he said that he just wanted to see his old friend, kind of catch up, show him around, show him a new hospital that was opening up. Semmelweis thought this was a great idea because he thought it would be nice to see an old friend. He thought it would be great to see his old home and where he used to stay. He was like,
"Oh, this is what I need. I have been struggling."
He packed, he got ready for his little kiki, he traveled down there. And when Semmelweis went back down to Vienna, it ended up being the backstab of the century. Instead of catching up with an old friend, this friend took him to a psych ward and had him admitted. Semmelweis was not happy. I mean, understandably so. He was like, "Oh, absolutely not. I don't belong here. Like, are you kidding me? I have 5 children to take care of. I don't belong here." So he tried to escape. He tried to make haste. I'm sorry, y'all. I've been watching Bridgerton. I love Bridgerton. Anyways, Semmelweis tried to escape. But when he tried to escape, he was brutally attacked and beaten by guards at the mental hospital. Due to this brutal beating, he ended up, crazily enough, getting an open wound. It got infected. Yeah, infected. On August 13th, 1865, Semmelweis passed away from the very thing he had been trying his whole career to prevent: a deadly infection. He died alone and sad, without any accolades, and everybody telling him he's crazy and that he was wrong. It wasn't until years after Semmelweis passed away that germ theory became popular and more widely accepted. It was only then that people looked back and realized he was right all along and began appreciating him. There have been multiple things that have been put under his name to accredit him and to pay appreciation to him. So he is definitely revered and given credit for his work, but it would have been a lot better if he could have had the appreciation he deserved when he was alive. I mean, he had groundbreaking findings, and it would have been amazing for him to be able to know that he's appreciated and we love him. We love you, Semmelweis. I'm his biggest fan and supporter after this. Like, I'm obsessed with him. He's everything. I stan him. Honestly, Semmelweis fan group, bring your own hand sanitizer. This was such an interesting story for me. We don't like change as human beings, like as society. I mean, I don't know about you. I mean, I don't mean to say like we, like maybe you love change, but I just mean like as a greater scope, right? The human race historically has rejected change, and anything that we find to be objectively unbelievable, like something as, you know, crazy as invisible beings that live to kill you. It does sound a little crazy, and who knows, maybe even if I lived in that time, I would think he was a little, you know, off his rocker too. I mean, I don't know, who's to say? The ego is a powerful thing that has caused millions of lives to be lost. I mean, there have been countless people who have died at the hands of someone else's ego, and I think it's important to know that if you're wrong, it doesn't mean that you're dumb. It doesn't mean that you're a bad person. And it is important to be open-minded and to always think, you know, what can I learn from this? We learn new stuff every single day, And the second, as a society, that we stop learning is the second we stop advancing, okay? And I'm trying to have flying cars in 2030, so let's not do that. I would love to hear your thoughts on this. Do you wash your hands? Let me know in the comments. Let me know if you have any ideas for me to cover in future videos. If you made it this far, I love you. I hope you have a great day. Bye!